All right, everybody, we're halfway through the week. Let's get to it, shall we? 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's going on? There we go. Down said hut, Ty eats. Okay. All right. So thank you guys so much for being here. Remember, I mean, you already know, but like, share, and subscribe, especially, if you're new here or if you've been around but you've been considering subscribing but you're kind of on the fence, you don't want to make a YouTube account, just consider, throwing a little support. It goes a long way, subscribing, and, of course, checking out Patreon and all the links provided for you down below. Yeah? All right. We got Sam today. No, I did not ask any questions, so I know some of you are going to ask, Ty, did you ask any questions? I thought what needed to be asked was asked today, and they did a good job. I thought the questions were, they were fine. Those guys always do a good job. I know sometimes you guys want really hard questions, but it's, media's got a job to do, and they need Sam to respond, right, one way or another. Gang, what's up, John? How you doing, man? Like and sub, fools. Wyatt, appreciate you. Hang on a second, see if this video plays.
About how...
Oh, there it is. Yep, okay, so it did work. Cool. Yeah, Odd Soul Craft Bar Pizzeria, located right here in Springdale, Arkansas. Emma Street, fantastic pies, great staff, great anything you could think of locally on tap most of the time, if not all the time. Stop by and tell them Ty sent you. Listen, you're going to be in town here soon, right? Mississippi State. You're going to get some cheap tickets. That's all I'm saying. You're going to get some cheap tickets for the Mississippi State game. Hell, someone might just give them away. I don't know. So, if you're in town, why not go check out the Odd Soul. Direct service overhead, the Garage Door Company. They operate out of Central Arkansas and in Northwest Arkansas. Better than best results. Hundreds of 5-star reviews. Whether that's repair, replacement, whatever, they've got you. 501-244-3667. They'll do it, man. They'll take care of you. All your garage door needs. 70% full stadium max for Mississippi State, says Rhett. So did Cam Little really kick? Well, so Leslie's already kind of spoiled it for us a little bit, but why not? Let's go ahead and get into this. Sam actually gave us. He gave, and he typically does. I'm not going to sit here and say like he doesn't always. Sometimes he'll answer a Bob Holt question with a simple yes. There was 2 or 3 weeks ago. I don't remember who asked the question. I don't remember what the question was. I think it had something to do with the offensive line. And he's so fed up about being asked about the O-line. You guys say they don't ask tough questions, man. They may not ask the exact question you're looking for, and I okay. But they do they asked him a lot about what the hell was going on with the offensive line. They were doing it before it became almost a meme on Twitter with all the issues that they're having up front of the offensive line. Like, the media was asking these questions like, hey, what's going on? Are these your 5 guys? How do you feel about so-and-so? What's up at left tackle? What's going on here? What's the deal with Kutas? What's the switch going to be? I mean, hell, Trey Biddy basically threw it out there what they were going to do last week in his line of questioning. It was like he gave each position, talked about Kudus moving to center, and you could tell Sam did not want to answer those questions. Now he's gotten a little bit better. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if he had a talk with somebody. I don't know if I don't know why he has lightened up a little bit. So I was impressed that they still were asking about the offensive line last week. But he's clearly at one point he was tired of answering those questions. So, yeah. What's up, Blue Kicks? How you doing, man? Yet why do I feel like they don't trust Little at times? Isn't that the truth? Arkansas inside the red zone this year, very interesting numbers. And I mentioned this a couple of weeks ago, and I had people, fire back in the comments, not the live chat, but the comments, several hours after the live was over with, kind of taking shots at the fact that it's mostly field goals. Like, oh, red zone offense. I don't remember the exact comments, but it was something like I had said something to the effect of, they are doing well percentage-wise in the red zone, which is true. They're 10th in the country in the red zone. They're 10th. But, yeah, they have settled. I mean, they've settled for a lot of field goals. They have, and that's fine. Well, it's not fine, but that is the truth of the matter. It's not fine. But they are 20 for 21 in the red zone, and yet sometimes you don't feel like I don't know, like some of the decision making, not really the red zone, but just on the other side of the field. When you cross that 50-yard line, and Sam was kind of asked about that today, you feel like when you cross about the 45, now let's be real here. I mean, 35 and in, or 33, the 33-yard line and in is definitely his comfort zone, Cam Little's comfort zone. But still, there have been times. Now, I don't know if maybe the wind wasn't at his back. Maybe that was something that hasn't been brought up. Maybe he was going to be kicking into the wind, but there have been times this year, it's kind of similar to Kendall Briles, where the play calling, I mean, it's all been rough, no doubt. The offense has all been rough this year. I know I'm not raising any alarms here. I'm not saying anything shocking, but when they get to midfield, it does seem like the trust issues kick in a little bit. And then, they were talking about Sam Pittman. What do you call it? Pittman Sam-alytics? Is that what it was called? Sam Pittman-alytics? I don't know. It's weird. Fourth down has been weird. Third down play calling has been weird, especially when they get on the other side of the field. But again, they're 95% inside the opposing inside the red zone. They're 95%, and yeah, it's 6 field goals. By the way, I was a little shocked to see this. It's actually 9 red zone passing touchdowns. At this point in the year, even a year ago, that would have shocked me. Maybe not shock, would have surprised me a little bit. I am still a little bit surprised that number's not the other way around. 9 rushing touchdowns and 5 passing, but that's what we're looking at. 9 of those red zone touchdown or scores have come through the air from a passing touchdown, and only 5 rushing touchdowns, and they've been stopped. They've been stopped inside the goal line. I'm still surprised it's 20-21. I thought they'd maybe missed 3 or 4 opportunities in the red zone, but again, according to NCAA stats, it's their 10th best in the country at 95% in the red zone. But again, not a lot of trips. That's not a lot. 21 attempts is not a lot based on 6 games. That's actually not good at all. But again, we all know this. None of that is surprising. There's plenty of teams who are so on offense this year that make that front page on that stat, which is the top 50 teams of the country, which is typically, I mean, you want to be there. And there's some really good offenses that aren't really high on that list, but that's because of the amount of trips to the red zone. LSU, for example, has 31 trips to the red zone. That's 10 more trips than Arkansas. So Tennessee has 24 attempts. They're 47th in the country. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. If you have any questions or comments, let's get underway here. Let's start this off. Let's get Pittman going. Here we go. I'm going to lower my mic.
about how a guy of his stature can kick the ball so far. I guess smaller guys on tee box can hit it a country mile too. But he hit a yesterday in 2-minute drill. He hit a 68-yarder. I mean, at the end to win the game. And I'd never seen anything like it. But he's done a absolutely great job, and what a wonderful person. And we're very fortunate. Accuracy is off the chart, and just having a great year for us, very valuable for us. We, need to give him an opportunity need to stay close enough in the fourth quarter to give him an opportunity to win a game for us, and I bet you he will. I think.
Yeah, so when we walk in, when the media comes in and we walk out to our, let's say we're walking out of the where they practice outside. To our left is all the injured players on bikes, doing stretches, whatever. And then to our right, on the furthest field closest to the hyper building, is special teams, or they're doing some more offensive drills or whatever. So sometimes you'll kind of glance on your way out. You'll kind of look, see how good they're kicking. You're not trying to spy anything else that's going on. You're not trying to like sneak any other, like, ooh, what's going on there? Who they have lining up here? It's just special teams. Typically when we walk out, and you'll watch the punters, you'll watch the kickers, and you can hear sometimes when Cam kicks that ball, it's absolutely, there's no doubt that dude has a leg, and he's got the accuracy to back it up. It's great to have a weapon like that. It's just unfortunate that the offense is so ineffective, And listen, I'd be okay with, obviously you'd like that the number of red zone trips to be like, you'd love to be close to where LSU and some of these other teams are in the 30s, but you wouldn't mind a few more field goals at times. Why not more opportunities? I swear they've missed out on some more red zone trips. But even outside the red zone, where that's still his range, outside the 21 all the way back to the 34, that's his range depending on the wind. I also wonder if there's so much more now on his shoulders than ever because of how ineffective the offense is. It's like, well, here we go. We're within range. We're at the 33-yard line, 32-yard line. This is within range for you, Cam. This might be, I don't know how many more points we're going to get. So you wonder if he doesn't, and I don't want to use the wall thing again, but you wonder if it's not playing in his head a little bit, man. Does he start, knock on wood, does he start missing field goals? Because it is all mental with kickers. It is all mental, right? It's when you miss a chip shot field goal, when you have some doinks, sometimes it stays with them. So just something to think about. But I think he's got it, man. He's a special talent at kicker.
We have to win third down. We're going to have a way to move the pocket. We're going to have a way to chip both sides. We need some help. That's nothing negative against our guys up front. It's just a lot of guys need help against those caliber of rushers. We can't let them just change the football game simply because those guys are on the field. We have to have answers for them, which we feel like we do. But they're defensively, Trey, they're so good, and there's not a guy out there that you go, man, we can pick on this guy, or he's not as good as Alabama normally is, and all that. They're really, really good, really solid, and it starts with those defensive ends, and I think they got 3 or 4 of them that are that caliber. Dallas, he's been around for a long, long time. I remember him playing as a freshman against us. So really good player, got a lot of experience, long, very, very quick, very powerful. They're very, very powerful guys. They can run around you or bull over the top of you, which makes them dangerous. The key there is.
So obviously Sam was talking about Bama's defensive ends. I think that's what Trey Biddy asked about a couple of players. It's Bama. We know they've got talent. And we all knew, and this is why I was hesitant to even pick someone to win the SEC West. It's like we all knew that Nick's gonna figure this out. He's gonna figure it out. He's either gonna win with great defense and special teams, maybe being a little tricky, and changing things up. They have adapted their offense to their quarterback. I wonder what that's like. They have adapted to Milroe. It's still choppy. The line right now is like 20 points. I think 3 weeks ago, the line wouldn't be near that. I think it would be Bama probably 13, Bama 10. Their offense was clunky. Milroe, he's good for about 4 or 5 big plays a game, no matter who they're playing. We'll see if Arkansas can contain him. And he's got a big arm, man. He could chuck it. And this is on Pooh Paul. I'm sorry, that last bit that Sam was talking about was just the defensive talent, the defensive ends. This is about Pooh Paul. We don't know if he's going to play or not Saturday. So someone asked him, if not Pooh Paul, how do you feel about the linebacker spot?
If they get into tight 12, they'll be in 2 tight ends. If they get into tight 12s a lot, which they have YY formations, if they get in there a lot, then, our capabilities of playing it just takes another linebacker out, because now you need to be in a 3 linebacker set. So it takes normally you're rotating 2. If you get a whole lot of smash mouth, you're rotating 3, and, we're not quite that deep. So it certainly could hurt us in that aspect. But I'm very comfortable with the guys we have in the game. Obviously, Pooh was a 1 for a reason. But I think what it's going to do is just going to make us look a little bit more at our substituting patterns, depending on what we see, whether it's tight 12, open 12, 11. I felt like this last week
This is a really good question about what they're doing at corner with Snacks and Nudie. We don't know if Nudie's going to be good to go on Saturday. Man, they're gonna need him on Saturday because these receivers, while they're not, we know what Bama does and what they recruit. It's not like these guys are a couple of Sunbelt receivers that they have on the outside, but you're gonna need some speed. You're gonna need some help. And Nudie and Snacks are 2 guys that help you out. Obviously, the redshirt freshman, 15 out of Georgia, former 5-star. He's struggling a little bit. I think he's taking a little bit of a step back even. I thought he looked really good. Golly, he's tall. He's legit 6'3". If he's 6'2", I don't know, man. That's a tall dude playing at that position, but pretty athletic. Can play tight, can play off the ball well, but he just struggled. So now we see these 2. These could be 2 guys who apparently practice in fastball at corner 1 and corner 2 yesterday, talking about Nudie and Snacks. So Snacks we know can line up really about just about anywhere in the secondary. That's the truth. They could line him up at one of the safety spots. He could play any position. How high is his ceiling at certain positions? That's a different show, right? That's a different part of another show. But anyways, here he is on those 2 guys and just the secondary in general.
Played the most confident that we have. Now, we still got to get guys on the ground and tackle a little bit better and things. We've got work to do, but I felt like that group played really well. And I think some of that has to do with the versatility of guys like a Clark, like Snacks. Obviously we got beat up last week physically. So we're not quite as what you might call non-confident in our guys because we feel a lot of confidence in them because they've been able to play and show that they can have success. And again, we learned that cross-training a little bit during that COVID year. and we continue to do that. And that way it's kind of allowing us to get our best five, what we feel is the best five on the field at the same time. And I'm very confident that the kids will go out and play well. They're going to have to they're going to have to defend the long ball. And, we know that. I mean, we played some really good wide receivers, and we understand that,
Oh, whoops. Okay, so that was the next question. My bad.
we played LSU. They've got some good ones, and so we played some good wide receivers. It's going to be about our technique, things of that nature. We obviously know Alabama has outstanding wideouts and a guy that can get it to them. But I feel good about it. Obviously, if we don't feel good about man-to-man coverage, we'll do some type of zone and try to, we can drop 8. We can do some different things to try to help the guys. But I feel good about our guys playing well. I talked to him about it yesterday, actually, and it was about my experience when I played in college and his experience. I said, hey, is this what happened to you?
And this is about Jalen Braxton. It's funny because it felt like a good portion of Sam talking to the media was just the media asking about the secondary, and because that's kind of been the story of the turnaround of this defense. Yeah, the depth up front on the defensive line has been fantastic. By the way, what's up, Philip? How you doing, man? Sorry I didn't respond. The depth is great. Linebacker play, Thomas has been really good. Paul, when he's healthy, he's been decent. He's not grading out super great, but he's been decent. He's been dealing with some injuries. Of course, he was suspended for a first half. But the secondary has been the turnaround has been incredible. Yeah, they're floating around the 60s, okay, 50s, 60s, whatever. Maybe that's gone up, actually. I didn't check that. I checked some other numbers. I didn't check where the secondary was in rank. Maybe I need to double-check that. But they're doing really well, and it's because of look, man, you got a former 5-star who's a redshirt freshman who's we thought he was going to be the guy. We thought, that's going to be the guy. That's him. He's going to be a stud, and he's not. He's not lived up to it. So then you have these other cats also who are freshmen, younger guys. They're going to talk about TJ Metcalf here in a little bit, who's kind of played. If I remember right, he actually did play a little bit of corner in high school, but played safety and is a safety for Arkansas. All these freshmen, these younger guys, the future is so bright in the secondary. Yeah, you're probably going to lose. I don't know what the story is with Snacks. I think we'll see. And Dwight, I'm pretty sure Dwight McLaughlin has I think this is it for him. I could be wrong, but a lot of these questions are about the secondary. That's been the biggest turnaround, in my opinion, so far of any position. 100 and they're in the 120s all last year. They're at the bottom of the SEC, and right now they're right smack dab in the middle of it. That's some awesome turnaround.
Basically, I had seen exactly what you're asking me about what you've seen. And basically what happened is it just clicked for him. What he's supposed to do, how he's supposed to do it, it just all kind of finally clicked. It happened to me when I played football as well. So now you're seeing that true athletic ability that he has and the speed that he has. And I'm going to tell you now, when they wouldn't let him go back in the game, and I hope he doesn't mind me sharing, he was emotional now. It bothered him. And he's a guy that loves to play the game and finally earned his right to be that starter and was playing extremely well. And whether he's able to play or not, I don't know. But his future for us is really bright. And to answer your question, I think it finally clicked to him. He understood the calls, understood where he's supposed to be on the field and things, and just let his athletic ability take over at that point. Quit thinking as much. I think a lot of our recruits are coming.
Here's the recruiting aspect. This is the recruiting update. He gives us an update on the class and where he's at. Yeah. We'll just let him take it. But just in case you guys can't see that, the font on the bottom left of that little video there in the corner. It says how are recruits reacting, and the question was, I think Otis asked, Arkansas's on this losing streak. How are the recruits responding?
For reasons to play for the Razorbacks, play for the state of Arkansas. I think there's several different reasons. I think some of them are coming to play for their position coach and, all those type things. I feel really, really good about the guys that we have committed to us, real good. But we also work very hard at keeping that relationship going too. We know there's vultures out there, and they're saying that we're lost 4 in a row, and they're letting them know too, like they don't already know. It's their school that they're committed to. But it's a relationship game. It's a relationship business, if you will. And as long as we keep our relationships, I do not feel like we'll have much of a problem of losing any of our commits. I think, obviously, if we could find another linebacker out of high school, we may take him. O-linemen are always guys that we would take. We're actively looking in the 24 class because you just never stop recruiting, But if we could sign 19 or 20 of the ones that we want, I think I'd be very satisfied, and then trade out portal for portal. His only deal is his opportunities haven't come quite as often as what Braxton's have, but we have a lot of confidence in him, and he is playing faster as well. And I think he's going to be a really big part of our future. But I really like him a lot. I like his family. I like everything about him. But his opportunities just haven't come quite as often as Braxton's, just because of who's playing in front of him, but and the injury situation and things of that nature. But I think he's going to be a really good player, and he's doing a really good job for us now.
All right, there it is. A little bit more detail than what we sometimes get since we started doing these on Wednesday. Although I think we missed, was that last Wednesday we didn't do this, or Wednesday before last? Sometimes my availability is up in the air for these Zoom calls. They're usually at 2 p.m. for the media on Wednesdays. So sometimes I'm not available, and if I'm not, obviously there wouldn't be a show today. So a couple things there. He talked about recruiting. If you guys didn't catch it, I want to go up to his exact quote here. Talking about the 24 class. So again, he said, I think obviously if we could find another linebacker out of high school, we may take him. O-linemen are always guys that we would take. We're actively looking in the 24 class because you never stop recruiting. If we could sign 19 or 20 of the ones we want, I think I'd be very satisfied. And then the trade out portal for portal. So I don't know. They've got 19 committed. So they're going to take one more. And unless he also said earlier they don't expect any decommits. So they're going in on one guy, and I'm going to have to assume it's either an offensive lineman or a linebacker. I mean, you know how this goes. They'll tell you one thing and do something else entirely, these recruits, these players. So I thought that was – I wouldn't expect him to come out and say, yeah, we're going to lose some guys. I wouldn't have expected him to come out and say something like that, but it was I'm not shocked that he said 19 or 20 on this class. So again, what he's talking about for this class, they've got 19 committed. That's basically they've hit the cap. They don't want to take any more. They want to deal with the rest out of the portal. He also closed out talking about Braxton, TJ Metcalf. I'm telling you, a good portion of this whole thing was about the secondary, and it's warranted because the secondary has been the biggest improvement. Have had the biggest impact on the defense. And I would argue the quality depth that they have on the defensive line. I don't know. I love that they've got all these youngsters, all these freshmen, all these, red shirt or true freshmen that are able to come in and play. That certainly makes you feel good about the future. I don't know what their ceilings are this year, like how big of an impact. Let's say if they're put in the situation where you lose Nudie and Snacks and you're forcing those freshmen back onto the field more, or they're starting, which they already have. They've shown, we're capable. But that does lower your the experience and the talent that you have on the field. So I'm sure there's going to be some games where we're probably talking about some of these other guys getting beat. We certainly have talked about, anytime Hudson Clark makes a mistake, my God, you think that the world was falling apart and that he does this all the time. And yet he's he's typically one of the better guys in the secondary so long as he's in zone coverage. J.M. Singletary, number 15, redshirt freshman out of Jacksonville, Florida. We know that he came here from Georgia as a former 5-star. He's a guy that's kind of been all over he's been all over from the 1s, 2s, and maybe he's slipping a little bit further back. I don't know. I don't know that's the other thing we don't know. Who the hell's playing on Saturday? You may not have Christopher Paul. I think Braxton, his availability may be up in the air. And I think there's a couple more players who may not play. But Quincy McAdoo would be huge to get him back this week. We don't hear much about Stewart anymore either. We don't hear much about him. Remember him, the transfer out of TCU? Really I thought he would be the guy, especially when 15 was slipping a little bit. Thought he'd be the next guy up. I had someone trying to convince me in DMs that he's going to be the all-conference corner this year, and I thought, all right, if you say so. Not hearing much about him. I'm not hating on him. I'm not throwing shade. He just can't cover. I don't know what is up, but YouTube's got this like emojis. These emojis on my screen are taking up. This has got to be a glitch. I can't read your comment. He can't cover other than something. He can't cover. I'm having to move the scroll here. He can't cover. Other than that, he's great. I think his zone cover skills aren't horrible. I mean, let's not act like the guy didn't have a big game with interceptions, a couple years ago, and he was doing that all out of zone coverage. And they were dropping everybody and their cat back in coverage. We got to play Criswell. If he sucks, play the next guy. Well, they're not going to do that. KJ, first off, there is a loyalty to KJ. And you have to say that, maybe he's earned that, but at the same time, the offense isn't moving. Like, I get wanting to be loyal. I get wanting to I understand that. He's a senior. But I'm going to tell you, they're going to approach this rationally. While everyone's saying you need to play Criswell, you need to start Criswell. That could happen. It could if he has a real bad game where he's turning the ball over 3 times in an opening half, and there's no movement downfield, you may see them make a change. But I think the only way you actually see Criswell is if KJ gets a little dinged up. I hate to say that. I don't want anybody to get hurt. Certainly not KJ. I heard Nudie would be ready for Saturday. He was in a red jersey. I think Nudie's going to be good to go, and that's a big deal. That's big. Now, sometimes you wonder, okay, he's missed all this time. Is he going to be able to just snap back in? I don't know. He can keep his Corvette. He'll be fine. I think he would like to play though. Someone posted a video of Latham, and I've seen enough of him. They're asking him to do too much. It's showing because he gets beat consistently, but somehow still starts. Man, he was one of your better players up front of the line of scrimmage last year. That's what's so wild. He was one of the better players, one of the better pieces. And there have been times this year where you thought, okay, it's coming back. They're going to be all right. We need to get our line adjusted, move Braun to left tackle, move Kutas. I'm going to tell you right now, Haas, that's probably not on the table. I mean, unless they get desperate, like really desperate. And I know me saying that, you're going to say, well, they should be desperate. Things are bad up front. But there's more to it. and I'm gonna tell you, he doesn't want to play tackle, and they're gonna have to. This is where it gets tough, right? Like, do you move him out to right tackle? And I think they did during fall camp, or maybe it was spring camp. They did, and the first thing I heard, I'm not gonna say their names, but there was a couple of particular media members who were like, "Oh shit, he's gonna be pissed." The exact words. I'm not gonna say who. It's just not that simple. These guys want to play certain positions, and that's just it. I don't know. Like, eventually, I mean, the staff has to make the decisions for the betterment of the team. And I'm not saying Braun wouldn't do it. I'm not gonna say Braun would absolutely, have a breakdown and threaten to quit or anything like that. But from what I understand, he wants to play interior, and it's just, that's I guess that's one of the reasons why he transferred here. It looks like everybody in here is sick of everybody. Yeah, especially on the offensive side of the ball, Paul. These remaining games after Bama are all winnable if the offense can start popping. D's playing good enough to win. I couldn't agree more. Man. They're all winnable. Like, every one of them. Even Florida. Even though it's at Gainesville. You can win that game. Or it's at least within their reach. Or, I don't know. If you play, you don't even have to play your best game of the year. Just play. I don't know. You probably would have to play the best game of your year. I don't know, man. I mean, so far, like LSU on offense, because I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. LSU on offense, you looked great, but we know now, well, their defense is that bad. And then you saw how bad they looked against Ole Miss on offense, and Ole Miss is not good on defense. Either Ole Miss made the proper adjustments and got things fixed, and maybe they are, and now they're legit because they've made those adjustments on defense. But after Bama, I do think they have the players to make all of these games close, and if the ball bounces their way, maybe even win, get some upsets. The problem is we haven't seen them do it since Kent State. And they didn't play well against Kent State. They won 28-6. Now we're on this 4-game losing streak. The only thing I could say about Bama, and we'll talk about it more on Friday. We'll go into their numbers. I do think they've made the right adjustments on offense. They're playing a little bit better on the offensive side of the ball. I still don't think their offense is as good as their defense, but they're getting things figured out. Milroe and that whole offense. But after that, you got Mississippi State. Okay. Florida, right now, and I know we're not supposed to talk about the matchup predictor, the football power index, but it does, and I've never taken that as, well, this means you're going to win if you're favored at 55%. That just means that's it. You're going to win. It's just more about, I think it's just the analytical side of the game. It's like, well, take this with a grain of salt, but here's kind of what the analytics or this is what our power, our football power index believes. I think they've said that these games are based on like 1,000 simulations or something. Okay, can you show us those? I'd like a little bit of transparency here. But right now they've got Arkansas at 47% likely to win that game. They ain't shit on offense. I mean, they're bad. They're in the 80s. They're like, last I saw, I think they were like 89th in total offense. They're like in the 50s in passing offense. They're in the low 70s in rushing offense. The difference for them, though, it's been their defense, and it's tough to beat them in Gainesville. They beat Tennessee earlier this year, 29-16. But like every other game, they went on the road to open the season up against Utah, and they lost that game 24-11. And everyone's overreacting. Oh, Florida's going to be horrible. I never bought that they're going to be horrible. I think 6-6, 7-5, something like that. And they've got South Carolina on Saturday. And then they've got Georgia after that, and then they've got Arkansas. So keep that in mind. That game is within your reach. I mean, we do have to realize, other than BYU, LSU arguably one of the top offenses. Don't give me stats. I don't give a shit about that. Just what they've done on the field and who they've done it against. They're one of the top offenses in college football. A&M has turned things around for the most part. They're 2-1 in conference play. They're 4-2. Ole Miss and Bama. Like, this is the top of the SEC. Outside of Georgia and Kentucky, right, who's at the top of the SEC East, you have played the most difficult part of your schedule, and you've still got Bama, right? I should say, by the time you get ready for Mississippi State, you will have played the most difficult part of your schedule. And so far, no one has really outright blown you out. You have been within 7 points of Ole Miss, tying, 8 points winning. You did lose to A&M by double digits, and that game was terrible. But you still only lost. You lost 34-22. A&M's a pretty good football team. I think they're probably on 9-3. They're pretty good. LSU, their defense is in trouble. There's no doubt. Their defense is in a lot of trouble. But you lost that game at their place, one of the most difficult places to play in college football. You lost by a field goal. And you played arguably the worst game of the season against BYU, and you lost that game by a touchdown. Now, that one stings. It was in front of one of the largest crowds in Fayetteville, one of the top 10 largest crowds. We all knew, and I went into that game saying, boy, there's some smoke. There's some smoke. And sure enough, there was fire, and so far we're still living in it. Every game after Bama, I think, is within reach. Mississippi State. Gainesville is obviously the big one, right? I would probably still lean Florida, and I'm probably going to lean against Arkansas in about all these games other than maybe Auburn, FIU, and Mississippi State. So going to a bowl game is not completely off the table if they do what's necessary. So far, I haven't been convinced of that. And, yeah, I still, at the moment, don't have them bowling. We have for Patreon supporters in Discord, I posted, if I can find it here, head coaching names. Now, I want to be clear. I'm not saying they should fire, and I'm not saying that they are going to fire Sam Pittman, but having a little bit of fun with it because, I mean, it's the ongoing topic everywhere. You go to any message board, free or paid, if you go to Twitter, Facebook, that's the conversation that's being had. So I put together head coaching names list. So if you're a Patreon supporter, go check that out. These are the names so far. I've got to get it updated. I'm going to add probably some more. I'm definitely going to add some more this week. But these are just the names that have either come across my desk. I'm not in support of or against any of these names. These are just some of the more common names that I've seen, whether, again, it's on social media, if it's in Discord, if it's in the 3 group chats I'm in of other folks that I know that are fans, just kind of what they're saying, what you guys are saying. And I'm not going to say whether I think they get any of these guys that are on this list, whether or not Arkansas is an actual place they would want to go. That's an entirely different discussion, but it is there. So if you're a Patreon supporter, it's available for you. BYU is like Liberty, had to overcome for the program, Hurts recruiting, etc. We're happy about not losing too badly, but I'm not saying you should be happy. I'm not implying that at all. I'm just simply saying, and I'm not saying you should settle for moral victories. I'm simply saying that all those games were within reach. It tells you that if there is any bright side at all, it's that they are. God, I hate saying this. How do I put this without? These games have been within reach, and it's been the toughest part of your schedule. Now, Bama, I don't know where I'm at, whether or not they're going to cover the spread. Bama, I think you caught them they're kind of on fire. Like they're playing a lot better. Offensively, they're playing much better. They've got a 91% likelihood of beating you. They're currently riding a 4-game win streak. They beat A&M 26-20. Like they beat Mississippi State. They struggled on the road against South Florida, but since then I think they've kind of gotten things straightened out a little bit on offense. Now they're not lighting the world on fire, but I think they're adjusting the offense to their quarterback. They're adjusting it to Jalen Milroe, who right now has 1,159 yards, 9 touchdowns, current rating of 68.7 though. That's his QBR. Their offensive numbers are horrible, but that's mostly to do with kind of how things started. Well, that Texas loss is, I don't know, man. Is Texas about to? Well, it's the Big 12. They'll go 11-1. I mean, 10-2 at worst. I mean, it's the Big 12. Just shit show over there. Answer that, Ty. What about? Hold on, let me scroll up. Even Bama, we win this Saturday and win out. Oh, I don't know about that. I'm not going that far. I know there's been some other. I guess there's some other folks who think believe Arkansas can win that game. It's like if there were ever a year to think that Arkansas, if they were a little bit more competent on the offensive side of the things, if they were better, if maybe Kendall Browse was still here, and I'm not even saying that I'm not a big, huge KB fan. I'm just simply saying, based on what we know he was able to do as the OC here with KJ in the offense, if there was ever a year with the change, with how good they've been on special teams, with how good they've been on defense, how much more quality depth they have at defensive line, with what's happening within the secondary, if there was ever a year you wanted to catch Bama, you feel like this might be the year. But again, I think Alabama's, they're turning it around. That would be my answer, if that's what you're asking. They could overlook Arkansas. They could. I mean, that absolutely. I mean, that's because after that they've got the revenge. They've got Tennessee. Now, I don't know what's going on. I thought Tennessee'd be a little better. It's not like they're bad. They're 4-1. You know, they're okay. That loss in Gainesville, because it's Gainesville. You know, I feel like if that were at home or neutral site, they probably win. Tennessee doesn't have a single quality win. South Carolina's 2-3. Well, UTSA, what is going on with UTSA this year, you guys? 2-3? Oof. Did not expect them to be this bad over there in the American Conference. Playing in the SEC, you can't be losing to Liberty, BYU, Western Kentucky at home. It's catastrophic to the program over the long haul. Yeah. There's been some losses over this last decade that just still are jaw-dropping. It's still crazy to think. And there's even some games you should have lost when Petrino was here, you know, that were closer. They were too close for comfort, and you found a way to win those games. I think sometimes that is just the difference between higher quality coaches and what Arkansas's had, including Bielema, including Pittman. Look at how many close games they have lost under Pittman, man. It's bad. It's really bad. They don't win close games. And nothing against Pittman. He's nowhere near the caliber of Bobby Petrino in his prime, right? 2010, 2011, or you can go back to his time as the Louisville head coach the first time. Good teams find ways to win. Frauds get exposed. I don't believe we win this weekend, but for some reason I believe we scare the crap out of them, down to the wire kind of feeling. And you would feel really good about that, right? You'd feel really good about that going into the rest of the season. And here's what's great. You get Mississippi State, and then you get your bye week, and then you go to Florida. Like, that's the good news. You get your bye week, and that's another reason why I think that game is on the table. So, all right, that's going to do it. I'm going to take my girls to the Ozark Rodeo Grounds tonight. They've got some kind of fair. Got some little. They always have something going on. If you guys are in Springdale, you know what I'm talking about. If you're on this side of town, so I'm gonna eat some chili and then head down there. Kind of wait until it got a little darker outside, but they don't have school the rest of this week, so we can stay out a little late. Maybe get some funnel cake, some cotton candy, and let them ride some rides. Anyways, Friday, we're going to break down Bama. We're going to get into this, whether or not I think Arkansas can at least make this game close. Is Bama on upset alert? We'll talk about that. That almost seems comical to say. I'm not even going to lie. It almost seems funny to say I for a multitude of reasons. Let's not forget, though, Arkansas's defense. If there were a defense that could give Bama fits, you think it might be Arkansas's? The way they've played against far better offenses than what Alabama. To be fair, they've not faced a Jalen Milroe yet, but I don't know, man. There could be reason to say that they could make this close because of the way your special teams and defense has played. Food for thought. All right. I'll see you guys on Friday. Enjoy the rest of your week. I'll see you there. Oh, my God. Get off my face, dude. Oh, my God. Get off my face. You don't want this smoke, fly. All right. I'll see you guys on Friday.